Welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast with your host, Chris Anderson. In this show, Chris and his guests will share their knowledge and experience on how to go from zero to successful entrepreneur. They have built their businesses from scratch and are now ready to give back to those who are just starting. Let's get ready to learn, grow, and elevate our businesses. And now, your host, Chris Anderson.
What's up, Kevin?
Hi, I think I've been here before.
Right. The first episode that we're doing together here for the Elevate Media Podcast, man. I'm excited to have you on here. Share your expertise, bring on, everything everything you've learned. How long have you been doing videography and film stuff?
Man, I've been doing it for about 12 years now.
Okay.
It feels like just yesterday I picked up my first camera and then took it back the next day because I realized it's too video. I was like, I want to do video,
That's awesome. I've been doing video for a while now, a lot of experience, a lot of guys. Today we're going to be talking about lenses specifically, because lenses, when you're looking at it, the bodies themselves, the camera bodies without the lenses can be intimidating. Once you figure that out and know what you want to do, lenses can be even more intimidating. Which lens we need, why, what's the benefit of all these numbers on here? So walk us through real quick, the normal things you look for in a lens, the different numbers, what they mean at a high level for those trying to figure out all that.
Basically, from a high level perspective, is most people buy a camera because they want to get into portraiture or nature photography or real estate, stuff like that. So when it comes into those MMs that you see on the side of the lenses, that can be a bit intimidating, realizing like what that exactly means, And a good place to start is the Nifty 50 millimeter lens.
Yeah.
The Nifty 50, which is, let me find it.
I think it's over there on the edge there.
It's right here. It's just a little guy. Compact. And it's good for portraiture because it gets the background blown out. And let me find it on here. Oh my gosh. So 1.8, a lot of people wonder what that means. And that is your aperture. Basically, that means how wide that is going to open and close. Basically not close, but how wide it can open. It can open to a 1.8 inch, what's the right word? Diameter?
Sure.
Yeah. Circumference, diameter. Basically, that's how wide it can open. I need to get to the point. But yeah, that's a good portraiture lens to get and start out with, and I highly recommend it.
Cool. So the 1.8 is called what? Is the aperture, right?
Yes, 1.8.
And that's so how wide, how much light it lets in?
Uh-huh.
So the smaller the better, the bigger the better?
It's not really the better, but it's just, it changes up its use case scenario, basically.
Okay.
Like, if you were to jump between 1.8 and 1.4, that can be thousands of dollars worth of value difference. But from my end, I don't see the benefit of that.
Gotcha. So
save the money, and just get you a 1.8, a 1.2 even. There was a Canon 1 lens, way back in the past, and that thing is just super bright.
Huh.
But you don't need to get overwhelmed when it comes to aperture. Basically, the smaller your aperture or the bigger, let's say it's 3.5, that gets your whole subject matter in focus. The lower the number is on the aperture, the more chance you have risking that it's hunting for your subject. We call that focus breathing, and where it's zooming in and out, it's wow, 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 it's very trippy, but we don't want that going down on a set shoot like that.
That's the biggest number you should look for on the lens. That's
the bare minimum. I've seen f4 lenses, and that's just not the bare minimum, but just, it doesn't really get the background blurred out. There's a lot of pros and cons when it comes to this.
Okay. So, let's walk through some of the lenses that we use specifically right now, or a lot of the time at Elevate. So if you want to go through some of those and what their uses are and why you chose that for that certain thing.
Okay, perfect. Exactly. So this is our most used lens. It's the Tamron 28 to 75 millimeter.
Okay, yeah.
It's 2.8. So that means it's at a 2.8 locked on aperture, any shooting situation. And that in itself is great because we shoot with the A7S III model Sony cameras, which they have the shooting profile picture S-Log3. So you can start your base ISO at either 800 or 12,800 shooting at S-Log3. That's unheard of when it comes to any other camera model. I've never heard of it. So with aperture being 2.8, you can bump up that dynamic range a whole lot better if it was just an f4 lens, you know. But we use this lens to just get different millimeters when we zoom in and out. So we could get a wide angle shot of just basically establishing where we're at with the 28 millimeter focal length. And then we bump that up to 35 and 50. We can do over the shoulder, like interview style videos, like just candid videos. And then you can get really up close with 75. That's showing detail, you know, like what someone's working on, what they have in their hands. You don't have time in this field of work to just swap out lenses all day. That is the main thing that I look out for, is the versatility of a single lens. Because if you're shooting on a gimbal, you always have to take it off, rebalance it, recalibrate it, and that eats into valuable moments for your day or your clientele, you know? Because they don't know what we're doing. We just got to come correct and come prepped.
So that's a good workhorse one, kind of a lot of different things. What are some of the others we have that we use a lot of?
Well, right here is our newest one, and I'm surprised I sank the money into it, but it has versatility in use, and I've used this a lot. This is a Sigma 14 to 28 millimeter 2.8 lens, and no other lens has a cap cover that just completely envelops it because it looks like it's pregnant, you know? It's got a curved edge.
Concave, right?
Yeah, it's concave. And the only downside I could say about this lens is you can't screw on any ND filters on the front, but they make ones that you can place on the entryway of the lens. It's a big hassle, but, you know, I don't really see the need for it because I'm mainly shooting real estate.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what do we use this one for? Mostly real estate and walkthrough type videos at homes or RVs and things like that.
And yeah, basically RV walkthrough videos, home walkthrough videos.
Why is this one good for those?
It's good for these because it expands the background, where otherwise with the strain on, like a wider background, so you can see where you're at and also feel like you're in that space with that person. Like, it's just very natural. You know?
Awesome.
It's very realistic.
Yeah, so it gives a lot of versatility, especially if you're in the real estate or those kind of production type videos of location that are maybe sometimes even compact and hard to get full view.
Yeah, a lot of lenses do a lot of compact type stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a nice lens to have, you know? I was kind of like iffy on getting it, but then I realized like, oh, this does have practicality and use, and I love slapping this thing on, just going out and just capturing life as it happens, you know?
That's awesome.
It's very like photojournalistic style too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So any others? What else we got up there that you use utilized at all?
Right here is a prime lens. So prime, you might be wondering, cue the Optimus Prime voice. Autobots roll out. Basically, this is a 35 millimeter. Let me find out what aperture it is. It's a 1.8 35 millimeter lens. This was about $700. It's a good mid-tier range lens, but it has a locked focal length.
Yeah, that's what prime means, right?
Yeah, prime means it's locked on. Okay. Yep. And this is good for portraits too. It's just, I don't really know what to say about it. It's just a good lens to have.
Yeah. It's so a lot of things, if it's maybe like an interview or a static type thing, you'll need a certain distance to stay that way.
Yeah, right.
It's good for.
It's good for that because guess what? It's locked off at 35 millimeters and it has a 1.8 aperture. 2.8 is a little bit higher if you want a little bit more light in. Use this for your portrait photography, or just, it gives appealing like interview style shots too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any others? I think we got a kit.
This right here is the dreaded kit lens.
Dreaded kit lens.
Like, don't get excited when you hear that the camera comes with a kit lens. Like, okay, because this little guy here is a 3.5 to 5.6 variable aperture lens. Variable aperture, like, if you choose to zoom in, it's going to lower it to 5.6, you know? And that could be detrimental based on the work that you're trying to get. The only way you can combat this is bringing light kits, which those are expensive, you know? Yep. I just don't recommend these for anybody starting out, but if it's all you got, that's all you got.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that whatsoever. But yeah, that's basically the throwdown on the kit lens.
Nice. No, that's awesome. And I think you kind of broke it down and explained why and the uses. Or is there a lens that you're looking forward to getting in the future? And is there a specific use for it? I know we talked about.
I want to get a telephoto lens.
A telephoto
to do like planetary photography, like starlight photography, nature shots.
Yeah.
I'd like to get,
and those are the really big ones.
Yeah.
You see, like
those are the ones with the
yeah.
like that long, and they got that mounting point to screw onto a tripod, and the camera just looks like a little square at the end of it. They're huge.
Yeah, those would be cool because you can get a lot of stuff from far away, right?
Yeah, without actually disturbing the nature of what you're trying to get.
That's awesome.
And it's just nice to get, but I think they have a $5,000 price tag just starting out. They're pretty pricey.
They're an investment for sure. So I guess as we kind of wind things down was as you went over the main lenses that we use and why and the benefit of them. Anything else you want to mention or tell people about lenses in general, maybe as they're choosing it?
As they're choosing a lens, you want to think about what you're trying to shoot. Basically, that's what it all comes down to. If you're a wedding videographer, like I am in a lot of case scenarios, you want a zoom lens, one that gets ultra wide and zooms in, because you just don't have that valuable time to play around with your gimbal or just play around with lenses. Basically, it's more to keep track of in an already chaotic day. Why add to the chaos and turmoil when you can just coast on easy street and just get a zoom lens,
Sure. So if you're not doing weddings, you're doing other things, just, rewatch this episode, and Kevin explains and lays out all these lenses and the benefits for a lot of different scenarios. And I think these are some really good ones to look into if you're starting out. Obviously, we favor Sony, but there are some that match for Canon and things of that nature as well. So, Kevin, man, it's been awesome having you on the first episode together. I look forward to doing more of these technical things with you to share with some people listening who are doing videography and trying to grow their agencies and things like that, and just trying to do better video content in general, even if they're not an agency owner with it. So, man, appreciate it. And until next time, you guys go out there, continue to do what you're doing, elevate your brand, elevate your lives, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Elevate Media Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. See you in the next episode.